I picked up my head as fast as I could, which left a ringing in my ear. Oh, I could feel my heartbeat in my head, a rush of blood pumping itself in while drool runs down my face. This isn't the first time I've fallen asleep at the job. I look around for my smokes, grab the crumpled red box, spark up, and take a drag. There was something making noise outside of my post. I've worked this same job now for years, and it never gets better. I don't have much room to complain, seeing as how it is quite possibly the easiest job anyone could ever ask for. I work for JT Prime Inc. We sell space. Well, we rent space, I should say. Not for living in or anything like that. This isn't an apartment complex or a motel or what have you. These spaces are only 10 by 10 or 12 by 12 rooms with a shared bathroom. Most of the people we rent to are artists or musicians or people who want to build up a portfolio or something. Nobody of any worth, but they pay their rent, and it's my job to make sure they don't run off with anything that doesn't belong to them. Essentially, I sit at the gate and smoke cigarettes, pushing the button to let people in and out for $12 an hour. I'll take it. I couldn't see anything outside, and I knew that nobody had come in or out of the property all night. So I had to have been hearing things, or maybe I was dreaming. There was nothing making any noise. There was nothing outside of the post. I turned around in my stall to search for my coffee maker. It wasn't a full-size maker, but rather one of those small 5-cup Mr. Coffee thingamajigs. I went through about 2 of them a night, and apparently it was time to start up batch number 2. I reached into the cabinet under my desk and pulled out my bag of coffee grounds. I loved the way it smelled, even though I knew it was the cheap stuff, and after it was brewed, would taste like the cheap stuff. At this point, I needed it for its practical uses, though, so I didn't care if it tasted like chalk and crayon wax. I was still going to drink it. The beans fell right into the filter, and I hit the button to turn the machine on. Nothing but a bunch of noise. Stupid me. I forgot to add the water into the back of the machine. It was becoming more apparent to me that these long overnight shifts were finally taking their toll. I had tried to sign up for the 12 hours where the sun was actually up, but the owner of the property has his son working that shift, and he pretty much outranks me 1,000,000 to 1. So, I became nocturnal, or at least, I tried to be nocturnal. I stepped out of the booth, double-checking the locks on the gate. The last thing I would need is for some bum to sneak into the lot or the building. It wouldn't be a new occurrence, but I simply did not feel like making some stinking man get off the hallway floor or have to call the cops in on some dirtbag trying to jump the fence with a guitar case or even our copper piping, which has happened before. Once I knew the gates were closed, I walked into the main building, which was separated from my stall, towards the kitchen. I filled up my pot with the lightly milky colored water, which I ignore, and make my way back to my post. I listened to the coffee boil, flicking my cigarette out the square open window, searching my pockets for my soft pack. Finding it, I pull out another smoke, light it up, and put my feet on the sill, leaning back in my chair. Then I heard it again. A laugh, or maybe a cackle. This time I knew what I heard. There was no doubting it. But where did it come from? I hit my radio a few times to see if maybe it was shorting on me. On the 4th or 5th hit, the stall becomes full of noise. Some pastor telling his audience, the listener, all about the love of his Savior, Jesus Christ. I shook my head, laughing at myself for being scared of some beat-down radio, and I clicked it off and poured the new batch of coffee into my mug, taking a sip with just the edge of my lips so I could replace the taste of stale cigarettes with shitty coffee for just a second. I held my coffee mug out the square window so the night breeze could cool it down, and played with my cigarette in between my fingers of the other hand. I was positive this time. There was something outside. It was laughing. Not a secret, quiet chuckle either. Whatever was out there was having a jolly old time and was cackling it up. The voice sounded muffled now, maybe as if it was inside the main building, where all the rental rooms were. I pulled my coffee in and put my cigarette in my mouth, swearing under my breath, these damn homeless folks coming in here and fucking with me once again. I was not going to play with them this time. Between my frustration and how annoying this man's laughing was, I was just about ready to crack some skulls. I smiled to myself, grabbing the aluminum baseball bat that the owner kept under the desk for just-in-case moments. To me, this could have been considered a just-in-case moment. I was on the warpath. I pushed my way out of the stall and into the main building. The laughter echoed down the hall, and I was raring and ready to go. I kept quiet and followed the sound of the laughing down the narrow way, past all the empty rooms. The man got louder with every corner I turned. At the end of the hallway stood a single white door to one of the rental rooms, all the way in the back of the building. I listened carefully and pressed my ear to the door, making sure that this was definitely where the man was. I used my backup card key and shoved the door open, swinging down hard. My bat hit the floor with a thud as the laughter stopped. I hit the light on the wall, and the room was empty. I checked behind the door and tapped the walls with the aluminum stick, making a slight ting noise, waiting for the man to start laughing again. At this point, I was genuinely scared. I tried to play tough and not show it, but this had me freaked out. I reached for the doorknob, convinced that it was time for me to get back to my stall. The doorknob was pulled hard out of my hand by what seemed to be nothing, or at least nothing that I could see, and slammed shut, the lock clicking. I pulled the handle hard, but the solid, thick, soundproof slab didn't move. I could hear the cackling again, now louder than ever. I felt the cigarette drop out of my mouth and land on the floor. I pulled and pulled on the door, then eventually began to pound my fist on it, screaming. The laughter just continues. A sudden heat sneaks its way up my jean leg, and I look down to see the orange light. My cigarette had caught the carpet on fire. I try to stomp out the flames. The laughter gets louder and louder. I feel the fire creeping up to my hips. The room temperature is rising. I can feel my jeans melting into my thighs. I cry out for anyone to help me. The laughter continues. I roll on the ground, but it only makes matters worse. My shirt burns my back, and I smell the smoke lifting from my hair on the back of my neck. I'm smacking myself all over and flailing on the carpet. The laughter still continues. I picked my head up as fast as I could, which left a ringing in my ears. Oh, I can feel my heartbeat in my head, a rush of blood pumping itself in while drool runs down my face. This isn't the first time I've fallen asleep at the job. I look around for my smokes, grab the crumpled red box, spark up, and take a drag. There was something making noise outside of my post. The story you just heard is from MJ Orrs. To hear more from him, check out the podcast Irrational Fears, What Scares You, at horrorfictionblog.com, hosted by the very talented Anthony Luciano. Hey there, kids, it's me, MrCreepyPasta, and I've worked with a lot of talent over the years. Many of the authors have books of their own, which I highly encourage all of you to check out to see more of their tales of the strange and horrific. And for those looking for a sampler of some of my absolute favorites, I've worked with these authors to compile just that. Stories that have been made famous throughout the internet, stories on this channel, and some that are brand new. The CreepyPasta collection is a long time coming, with support from all authors involved. Check it out on Amazon and in your local bookstores September 2nd. Or, I suppose you could save yourself the nightmares.